Issue number 224. Notoros, the capital of Black Rise and the best system in New Eden. I'm still enjoying this curse, but I think I'll put electronic countermeasures on this thing. I still get jammed every once in a while. This is nice. Mordew's Legion. This is the smallest of the big fish in these belts. The battleship-sized Mordew's also appears occasionally. So the nice thing about this rat is that it has a guaranteed blueprint inside. Those sell for 40 million on the low end, sometimes much higher. But minimum 40 million. And this one is an oddity. There's no bounty associated with the frigate-sized Mordew's. It's pretty significantly tough. I mean, look at it stand up to my cruiser here. I have appropriate skills to fly this cruiser. It's just that's a pretty tough thing. I have all this E-War on just for good practice. Just to keep it on your mind, you know. He had E-War on my warrior there. I should have noticed that. I lost a warrior. So that thing is the cherry on top around here. If you really like flying Garmers, you should probably live in a 0.2 system. Hashtag life lessons up in this piece. So those Garmers, they make good gifts. You know, you can give them to anybody. Everybody likes those things. They're real fast missile boats, and they'll point you from a distance. It's one of the ships that I actually have to be worried about with this thing. The curse is susceptible to the Garmer. There's nothing special about this spawn right here. Totally normal bounties. And to be honest, I feel like they should be higher than they are. I'm thinking about doing it old school and seeing if they've reintroduced an emphasis on escalation. The Diarguristas, they'll make you nervous out here because they'll put points and webs on you. But they're not significantly tougher than any of the normal belt rats, I don't think. I still feel compelled to check the Diarguristas' wrecks, even though they never give me anything nice. I've been cycling these belts occasionally for a few hours, so the spawns have been getting better. But the bounty payments aren't going as high as I'm accustomed to. When they changed the spawn mechanics of the NPCs, they changed some other things too, and they didn't say a word about it in the patch notes. I can't quite put my finger on it yet. I've been bumping that new Elthar Knox album, track 4 especially. I think it's called Keep Running Your Siphon and I'll your mom in the guzzler because she did a job raising you. It slaps. I put up Hedbergite buy orders again, and the local industrialists are taking full advantage. 1,500 per unit. I don't care what kind of ore you bring me. Look at this guy. He's making bank. This could be you, new guy. This could be you. All it takes is getting in a shuttle and getting to Notoros, the best system in New Eden. I tipped this guy 40 million too, so keep that under your hat. Seeing several Diarguristas spawn is a good sign for how you're doing on running the belts. But those bounty prices aren't really high enough in my memory. I know it's really tricky to trust your memory about stuff like that, but I feel like those Diargurista bounties would get up to 80 and 90 just for the frigates. I mean, if you worked hard enough for it, you can cycle these things every 10 or 15 minutes. I don't normally because it's a real pain. But if you really grind these things out, you can get those bounties up. And I put a little bit of time in. I didn't feel like I could exactly get the bounties up to where I wanted them.
Warp drive active.
You got to admit this is a pretty game. EVE Online. It looks good. Look at all that headburgite. The kids could come out here, they could get rich. Just sitting in the belts like that. For free. So after that whole Notorious News thing, I got a job at Weenie World, and that turned out to be a glory hole. And so I got a job at the tool shop, and that turned out to be a glory hole. And so I got a job at the mailbox, and then I didn't notice it was M-A-L-E. It was the mailbox. That was a glory hole. So I started running these belts when I was bored instead. I mean, you don't want to. You can only take so much of that. Got to abandon these wrecks for the industrialists. But I'm going to check this Diagoristas box, even though I know it's not going to give me anything. These Diagoristas, they don't carry anything good. Some compact modules, and that's it. I take it, but I don't even want it, you know? That's just going in my dump box.
Warp drive active.
And this 3 cruiser spawn, this isn't an advanced cruiser spawn either. I've been running these belts for like a few hours. This is like a totally standard spawn. I think there's something different. It feels different. Like all the NPCs used to spawn right when the servers came up in the morning. And they changed that when they changed the belts fundamentally. We lost our belts in Notorious for like 3 days. There were no asteroids, there were no rats, there was nothing out here. And then they just came back. But the rats stopped spawning when the servers came up. The rats used to spawn when you warped to the belt the first time of the day. And that just disappeared. So I don't know how to tell when the rats have reset anymore. And I guess that's really what I'm trying to figure out. Where's my starting point? Because I can't get them to ramp up like I used to. I haven't seen any 7 or 8 million bounty payouts. And I feel like 7 and 8 million in the 10, 15 minute belt run was pretty standard for me. A year ago. Maybe 18 months.
Warp drive active.
So here's your $1 million idea today, CCP. I know you're going to take all my good ideas anyway. You need to sell colorways for turrets and bays. We need to be able to put skins on our weapons. So I can put on a skin and then put a skin on the weapons and bays and have contrast, have a little bit more distinction, personality, individuality on my ship. So go ahead and get on that. Convict, is that you or what? Go ahead. And here's another thing. Just let me cloak my Panther. Just let me cloak my Panther with a covert ops cloak and warp around. The battleships are a joke. The battleships they're not tough enough. Spoiler alert, they're not tough enough. Make them tougher and let me warp cloaked, because they're not overpowered if nobody's using them, you know? Like that should really be CCP's mantra. They're not overpowered if nobody's using them. So this belt ratting stuff, quick and easy side hustle if you're looking for that kind of thing. It seems like my bounty payout isn't going to be the best thing ever, but for undocking, I'm going to get a Garmer BPC and a little cash money on top. But the power of this isn't that it's the most lucrative thing in New Eden, it's that I don't have to jump anywhere. There's no wasted time. There's no being careful either. That's a big part of it. So, well done, Canid Innovation. You slavers over there really put out a good ship. This thing is like a warm hug. If you're going to go for a good, low-sec home system cruiser, I recommend picking up a Curse, not a sponsor. So if I can make $2.5 million per minute on some nonsense like this, then I can roll that money into local ore buy orders, keep this whole ant farm running. I breathe in blueprints, and I exhale good wages. When the rats pay better, my local market pays better. That's just how we're doing it.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.